Urgency hung in the air with mist and the smell of wildfire smoke. Daylight had barely broken. Kenna Banbury stood at the back of a group of search and rescue volunteers, her dog beside her. She sipped at a paper cup of coffee from the refreshments table the local church had set up in an effort to bolster volunteers' spirits.
"Blue team takes the trail to the west."
The search and rescue commander swept his arm to the right. He looked back at his clipboard and his mustache flexed.
"That looks like all of you. Does everyone know what they're doing and which team they're with?"
The group of volunteers murmured and broke off into groups. Trails stretched from this parking lot up into the mountains surrounding the tiny mountain town of Bishopsville in Northern California. The lot sat in a basin at the north edge of town, surrounded by a crowd of dark green pines on the mountainside. Patches of snow had collected on the side that rarely saw the sun. A couple dozen cars filled the lot, along with her camper van, but she could check into the campsite later when she needed to rest. Kenna had been assigned to Yellow Team, who were supposed to go up the trail on the ridge to the west. She didn't follow her group. Instead, she watched the guy she'd picked out of the crowd to see which team he went with. Cabot, her rescue dog, didn't move from her sitting position against Kenna's leg. Blue. She clicked her tongue, and Cabot trotted with her as Kenna headed across the gravel parking lot to the West Trail. Trudy Morgan, 19 years old, an online college student who worked at the steakhouse in town, had been missing 8 days. 3 other victims, taken in as many years, had each been discovered on days 9 through 11. Found wandering the highway, disoriented and injured, wearing only a nightgown. Several other victims had never been found. No one wanted to wait and find out if Trudy would be discovered or not.
"You were Yellow, weren't you?"
Kenna passed the commander. "Blue seems to need more people, and they have no dog." Cabot wasn't trained for search and rescue, and Kenna wasn't pretending she was. She just wanted to get going so she could find the missing young woman. Boots on gravel told her he jogged after her.
"I don't want an argument when there's a victim to find, but if this is going to work, everyone has to keep to their assignments."
Kenna glanced over her shoulder at him, not slowing. The team had moved through the split gate to the trail already, and she needed to catch up. "Trust me, you want me on Blue Team."
"Ma'am,
gotta find that girl." She didn't give her name or turn back. Kenna picked up her stride to a jog. Her dog kept pace. Not a surprise when Cabot had barely left her side since Kenna had been shot a couple of months ago. The day she got out of the hospital, the rescue animal had been in the car waiting. Neither had left the other's flank since. She reached out and ran her hand over the dog's back in a long stroke, feeling the familiar pull of her forearm where a scar bisected just below her elbow. Twin to the other arm. Shadows of a past she'd confronted recently, but which still seemed to hang in the corners of her life like specters she couldn't get rid of. But she would. She'd survived. Once she found this missing young woman, things would feel a little more right. The world would seem a little more the way it should be, rather than this dissonance she couldn't shake. But she had to. The past had no bearing where a young woman's life hung in the balance. New and improved Kenna, who'd faced her worst fears, couldn't let the shadows of all that was left color her thoughts and decisions. Not if she wanted a shot at finding Trudy.